Call the meeting of the Marquette County Board of Commissioners together for their annual meeting. Note all commissioners present. Stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes, we'll cross off the closed session held on October 1. The clerk didn't have them ready. So a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on October 1st, 2019.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Nordine, supported by Commissioner Adamini. Comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Proclamations, presentations, and awards, there are none. Approval of the agenda.
Approval of the agenda as presented. Support.
Motion by Commissioner DePietro, supported by Commissioner Alholm. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board, please come forward, state your name and address, and you may speak at this time. Public comment.
Good evening.
Evening.
Name's Larry Frisk from Michigami, Michigan, 222 Stony Lane. First, I'd like to thank the board for helping us keep public access to Indian Lake. It's a big deal to keep public access open through these things, and your efforts are greatly appreciated. Now I'd like to ask you to help us keep public access to Lake Michigami. Michigami Township Board has elected to sell to a private party the public access to Lake Michigami on Lake Street. We call it the Pocket Park. We don't know if you have jurisdiction over this issue or not, but you please help us keep this Pocket Park in public hands. Thanks.
Thank you. Public comment.
My name is Richard Wadeen. I'm a property owner in Michigami Township, 23146 Smith Road. And I would also like to thank you guys for what you're doing at Indian Lake. It's it helps not only us, but it helps the future so much. And I think you're doing a really good job. Your participation is greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment?
Good evening. Don DeRoshi, 133 East Main Street, Michigami. The Pocket Park's a pretty big issue to all of us. We have a core group has opposed the sale of it. It's a very small 60-foot piece of frontage that the town people have had access since 1872. If you read the papers that were distributed, it's pretty self-explanatory. The issue at hand is a Marquette County Road Commission road right-of-way off of Lake Street and Mack Street, and we would ask if you guys can help us in any way to keep the Pocket Park. We're not looking for ourselves personally. We're looking for the future, for young kids and maybe our grandchildren to use the park to fish, to swim, and also for the town to grow. It'd be a great access point for boaters coming in and tourists to be able to access Lake Michigami. Lake Michigami is probably 99% owned by private entities. And so this small little chunk we have, which is pretty close to the center of town, would be ideal to keep open to the public for use as a park and possibly fishing, boating, swimming. So anything you guys as a board can do for us, we would greatly appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment? Any other public comment?
Dan Rademacher,
152 Anderson Road. I handed out the packet, coming into my possession, the policy from the township in regards to the Anderson Road issue. And I just wanted to point out it appears to be some issues in regards to seasonal roads. That is a seasonal road beyond my place that was rebuilt. It was not an extension of a road. On the last page, it shows, it's kind of hard to see, but it shows that it is seasonal up to that, only up to the end of the pavement. I point out throughout this policy, as a general rule through the whole thing, the road commission has to be in contact with the township, and it appears that the township's supposed to pay 60/40 for any improvements to any roads. And they have not been contacted. I've been in contact with the township, and they haven't paid or been contacted on this. I also, if you go back to exception, it says the township and the Marquette County Road Commission will not be required to participate in the cost of upgrading of any seasonal road that is in the part of an existing plat or a new or existing assessor's plat. I also see that it was upgraded on September 2019 in regards to pushing back the banks on seasonal roads. I find that interesting because it directly affects this situation. Are they going to be pushing it back for them? But it appears that a lot of these policies do not appear to have been followed in regards to this situation. As far as I brought it before, the safety issue, it's come to my attention that on Sunday, an ambulance was called down to the end, off the end of that road, and they had a difficult time getting out of there. I'd hate to see one of those get stuck there and there being another emergency. But I just wanted to let you know that this is what I found so far. I'm interested to see if there's going to be any more upgrades to it or any more upkeep of it. So I just want to give you this policy.
Have you spoke to the road commission?
I attempted to make their meeting, and no, I have not spoke with them in regards to it at this point.
These are-
And one other question. Sorry to interrupt you, but who does the road commission answer to? Am I at the right place, or, I mean, who do they answer to?
We appoint the people, 5 members to the road commission.
Okay.
The road commission staff reports to their board.
Okay.
So you need to go to one of their meetings and talk to their board, and their staff will be there, but talk to their board because
Okay.
they're in charge of these policies and how they're implemented.
Okay. Okay. Wanted to just make you advised of
We
what
try
this
to
is.
be helpful to everybody
Right.
to get information, and that, but we don't make the final decisions on the road commission policy, they do.
Okay. As far as oversight of watching their board, who, I mean, is there
We care
oversight?
about how they're doing their job, and if they're doing it wrong, we'll, you know,
I was just curious. I didn't know, everybody answers to somebody, from the top down. I didn't know who answers to
if
who.
there's
So,
anything that goes on that's not being done correctly, then I guess we'll weigh into
Okay.
it, yes.
okay. I gave you this for your review and just,
We have
what's going on.
Mr. Nordine and Mr. DeRosa are liaisons to the road commission, so you can, any information that you want,
Okay.
give them to these 2 people, and they'll follow up.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Yep. Any other public comment? Review of claims and accounts, total expenditures for the period 27th of September through the 10th of October were $729,882.96. Biweekly payroll ending in October 5th, $707,973.86. A motion to pay those 2 bills would be in order.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Nordine,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Adamini. Questions on the bills? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The next bill is the Elder Delta Co-op electric bill, and Commissioner Al Holmes abstains, as she is a member of the Elder Delta Co-op board, and the bill for this through 10/11/2019, $1,670.88. Motion to pay that bill.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Adamini,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Nordine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next, we move on here to the Truth in Taxation public hearing. This has to do with the public hearing of proposed fiscal 2020 budget and property tax millage. It's Marquette County Board of Commissioners will hold its annual meeting on Tuesday, October 15, 2019, 6 p.m. in room 231 of the Henry A. Skewes Annex, Barrett Avenue, Marquette, Michigan. A public hearing will be held at the annual meeting on this proposed fiscal year 2000 general fund budget, Sawyer Airport, Sawyer Water and Wastewater, Brendan Court, Child Care, other county operation budgets, the proposed fiscal 2020 capital improvement budget, and the proposed tax millage rate proposed to be levied to support the proposed budget will be a subject of a hearing. The total number of ad valorem mills to be levied in Marquette County in 2019 is 7.6207 mills. This will be the same operating millage rate levied in 2018. Proposed millage will increase operating revenues from an ad valorem property tax of 1.53% over such revenue generated by levies permitted without holding the hearing. So I'll open up the hearing so anybody can comment on the millage rate, which without the hearing would be 1.53% less. Anyone want to comment on it? Anybody wish to comment on it? I'll close that part of the hearing, and we need to consider adoption of a resolution here we have on 7A. So I entertain a motion to consider.
Well, we adopt the resolution as presented.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Nordine, supported by Commissioner Rocha. Roll call. Linda?
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Elbow?
Yes.
Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
And Chairperson Corcoran.
Yes. Next, we have the fiscal year 2020 budget hearing. We'll open it up for comment. The fiscal year 2020 capital improvement budget, $530,800. Fiscal year 2020 general fund budget, $26,355,630. Fiscal year 2020 other county fund budgets, $36,965,211. The millage rates levied for the various taxing units in the county, cities, townships, and schools throughout Marquette County. So, complete copy of the budget is available in the clerk's and administrator's office. So I guess I would ask support of the resolution to approve the General Appropriations Act.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Holmes, supported by Commissioner DePietro. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Elbow?
Yes.
Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Chairperson Corcoran.
Yes. We have no privilege, comment, informational items, the press release, appointment of county treasurer. I guess call on Linda to speak to that. I guess her, along with the probate judge and the prosecutor, selected a appointment to the treasurer's office.
We did come to the conclusion that pursuant to Michigan law MCL 168.209. We went ahead and the suitable person to fill the vacancy of the Marquette County Treasurer was Mr. Joe Benson. Mr. Joe, oh my gosh, that's funny. Mr. Nick Benson. That's funny. Anyway, Nick, why don't you come on up and say a few words to everybody if you can.
Hello, Nick Benson, current deputy treasurer. Excited to be appointed. Realize I have some pretty big shoes to fill, and I'll be doing my best to fill those. And as always, if you have any questions for me, stop by the office or give us a call.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, it's a very important responsibility, so we need to work closely with you as the county board and county staff, so it's a key position, so we wish you well and top rate work.
Understood.
Thank you. Next, 10A action items, recommendation to adopt the fiscal year 2020 general fund budget in the amount of $26,255,630, fiscal year capital improvement fund budget in the amount of $530,800, fiscal 2020 other county fund budgets in the amount of $36,965,211. So before we get into this, I guess everybody is aware of some of the vetoes that appeared in the state budget to the tune of about $800,000 as far as it could affect Marquette County. In other words, if all the vetoes stayed in that the governor put in the budget, we would be $800,000 less than we are at the present time. We've had a lot of meetings and contacts with legislators and Michigan Association of Counties, commissioners all over the UP, and our best advice that we got from everybody, including our legislators and Michigan Association of Counties, is to proceed with our budget as is, and if necessary, before January 1, we'll have to amend it any place where revenues are taken away that are restored with the supplemental budget. It's the feeling of many that a lot of it will be put back into the supplementals, but one of the big items that was cut out of ours was $600,000 in tilt swamp tax in this issue, and that's extremely important to the Upper Peninsula and the Northern Lower Peninsula, and it's in the Senate supplemental bill, but I had Wendy check out because I felt it was statutory in nature as part of the law, this PILT money and swamp tax, and she dug that out, and it shows that they're supposed to pay that, so I think it legally could be contested that that wasn't something that they could just take away from us. But anyway, just so you have that information, and I guess we'll follow up on that if needed, but just wanted to go over that because you can't make a lot of final decisions on negotiating contracts or setting salaries for elected officials or anybody else until we can find out what the result of all these vetoed dollars are for Marquette County. Right now it's about $800,000, so I guess before the first of the year we'll have to amend the budget if monies that are lost to that means.
I wasn't quite sure what you said. So first, I agree that I think these cuts are a political thing going on between the governor and the legislature, and I wasn't concerned at all because I thought eventually they would be put back in, especially obviously the PILT and everything else that goes with that. So what you're saying is that you got the advice to proceed and not take those into account for now, and if we have to, we'll deal with them later, right?
That was,
Till
I agree.
January.
that was given to us by Mac,
Yep.
Director, and Steve Curry at our UP Commissioners meeting. We spent a lot of time on it because all the counties in the UP, obviously, and all over the state are pretty concerned about it because there's some huge losses, and some of the states or counties in the UP as well as Roscommon and Crawford and some of those in Orpington, so over half of their budgets are to build in,
Right.
you know, these kinds of money, so it's pretty important to them.
I have a question, and following up on what you said, Chairperson. We've got before us also a proposal to set elected official salaries. Is this reflect no increase from the current year then?
Correct.
Okay.
That would be.
Because we don't know where the revenue's going to be.
There would be no increase, but the board has the right to add something
Yeah,
to it
I
if
understand.
they want, you know, bonus or whatever they might want to do. If the money's there, it's up to the board, I guess. Anyway, just wanted to go over that because that's what we've been dealing with here for the last week and a half between staff. We met with the governor's director yesterday, Scott, John Meade, and myself, went over all of these cuts that would affect Marquette County, and he's, you know, very aware that most of them should be restored. So we're doing our homework and think that we'll be successful in getting a lot of this restored, but there's no guarantees depending how contentious it becomes between the parties down there, I guess. Anyway, so recommendation to adopt the budget. I think it's a sound budget. We meet all our mandated things with the budget, and you know, 75% of what we do is mandated. We have to do it. 25% are local options, and 2 of the bigger ones are the airport and road patrol. So there isn't a lot of extra money to debate about how to spend it, but at least we can meet all our obligations. Everybody continues to work and provide good services in the county. So Sue, Scott, and all the department heads did a good job, and as far as the budget, and the department heads over the last decade have been good and very conscientious about living within their means, so we gotta thank them as well, because it takes a team effort if you're gonna stay afloat when you don't have a lot of extra revenue coming in. If you remember, in the last 6 years, we've lost $3.5 million. $2 million over the Empire over there in the specific tax, $800,000 in dark store money, and about $600,000 from the Wisconsin plant closure over here. That's $3.5 million. So if we didn't grab a hold of the healthcare costs here, which give a lot of the credit to Scott because he worked with the West Michigan Insurance School, you know, our health insurance bill is about $4 million. So if it went up like they did for the previous 3 years, 25% a year, that would be up there another $3 million. There'd be a lot of less people working in Marquette County than there are right now. So I got to thank our administrator for that, because that really made a huge difference, as well as smoothing out the MERS, which Sue worked on last year. So these are just a few of the big, broad things that we're dealing with today. And, you know, it makes it tougher to make budgets every year.
I think we also owe a big thank you to Sue Burkle for all the hard work she's done on finding nickels and dimes to pay the bills. And we're certainly going to miss her services.
When we talk about the finance, she's the MVP of Marquette County. That's all I know.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2020 budget.
Support.
Further comments? Just thank the commissioners. I think we don't talk about them, but I guess we wouldn't be in this position if we didn't have commissioners that are fiscally responsible and willing to make a lot of hard decisions over each year. So thank all of you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The certification of millage levies here. You want to mention anything, Sue, on that?
No, all the requests are in, so it's okay that you have them approved as presented.
Motion to approve the certification of millage levies.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Nordine, supported by Commissioner Adamini. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution establishing salaries of county officers for fiscal year 2020. I guess the motion would be in order to, keep them the same.
I'd like to make a motion to keep those the same, but also to look into adjustment of several in the January 2020 in the event, we're faced with an $800,000 deficit and that hasn't been resolved. I don't think it would be fiscally sound to lock in appropriately without knowing where we're at.
Support.
Motion and a support. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Department of Human Services appointment, two applicants, Carolyn Bridges, longtime chair of the board, and Mary Johnson. So roll call, Linda.
You have two candidates in front of you. Commissioner DePietro, who do you choose?
The salary, does that have to be by,
Resolution?
roll call? It's a resolution.
I can back up. Do you want me to back up?
Okay.
Oh, that is a resolution, yeah.
I'm happy to do it. I was ready.
Sorry.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Elholm? Yes. Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
And Chairperson Corcoran.
Yes.
For 10D, we have two applicants in front of you for the Department of Human Services appointment, Carolyn Bridges and Mary Johnson. One by one, Commissioner DePietro, who do you choose?
Caroline Bridges.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Bridges.
Commissioner Adamini?
Caroline Bridges.
Commissioner Nordine?
Mary Johnson.
Commissioner Elholm?
Caroline Bridges.
Chairperson Corcoran.
Carolyn Bridges.
Carolyn Bridges, who receives that appointment. Thank you.
Public comment? Any public comment?
Wow. Good meeting.
Commissioner's comment, I guess, is just commenting on the issue in Michigami, where I guess we're sympathetic, at least I am, to your issue, but something being part of the public seems like the best place that it should be kept in the public domain, so I'm just speaking for myself. It's none of my business, but that's how I strongly feel.
I agree. I think that it's easy to give away public property for a little bit of money now, and then years from now you look back and say that was a bad idea. And I think that it is a bad idea. I think I see the city of Marquette doing it all the time on the edge of the water down there, and I think that's a bad idea too. But unfortunately, that isn't our purview. So
I'd like to thank the residents of Michigami that showed up tonight and their passion for this issue. I concur with the chairman as well. We've seen a lot of this over the course of time with public lands being set aside for private purpose, and I guess I don't see the vast public purpose for the elected officials to go down that course, but again, that's their choice. The legal opinion that they presented was well written. Applaud Mr. Smith for his efforts as well. And it lies in the Road Commission hands at this point, and we'll see where it goes from there. But it affects a lot of people in Michigami and a lot of the residents that I represent, and my phone lines have been running off the hook lately, along with a petition with almost 100 signatures on it not to have this happen. So job well done, gentlemen, tonight. I think that the public, we hear you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the commissioners for listening.
No, just an announcement, I guess the legal minimum voters here make democracy work, town hall, new voting rights, census 2020, Citizens Redistricting Commission, October 25th, 7 p.m., County Township Hall, October 24th at noon, Lakeview Arena Citizen Forum, Marquette, October 24th, 7 p.m., NMU General Hall, room 1318. Sponsored by NMU Political Science Department. This information, town hall style event will guide you through new voting rights, early voting, stand voting registration, featuring a local perspective from Linda Talisman, Marquette County Clerk, Citizens Redistricting Commission on selected what they will do and how to apply. Census 2020, why it matters to you. For further information, contact Darlene Allen, 906-225-9103, sponsored by the League of Women Voters Education Fund. Other Commissioner, one other thing before I forget is Commissioner DePietro and I attended the UP Commissioners meeting in Sault Ste. Marie on Thursday and Friday, and had some excellent presentations, one on the propane issue in the UP, how important it is, and all the different options that there are to getting it here. And it was very well done by somebody from the Public Service Commission and another person. Neither of them had any politicalness at the game. There was no politics involved. And well, I came to the conclusion when we got all said and done, looking at everything that was said and asking a lot of tough questions, is the resolution that we supported here for the tunnel over the pipe seems like the best solution and the safest one, and that isn't from anybody's political agenda, just the common sense facts show that that is the best solution. So that was something that we got out of it. Any other solutions are going to be very costly and cost the people a lot more for their propane. That was one of the big ones. Another good, had a lot of talk on the state budget, which is a big issue, and also good presentation on environment and economic development. But it was excellent. Some of the better speakers that we've had, I think. I learned a lot. And John was there. What are your thoughts, John?
I thought that we both had opportunity to address a lot of our thought and concerns with the DNR, the Line 5 representatives, Steve Curry, Executive Director of MAC, and several of the other reps. The only thing that we were upset that there was no representatives from Lansing. Nobody from UP had stopped by on their way home to attend this meeting. That would have gave us a good chance to talk with them, but for some reason they didn't take the time. So. And then I'd like to pass our congratulations on to Nick Joseph Benson on being appointed Marquette County Treasurer on a motion by County Clerk Linda Talisman, and seconded by Marquette County Prosecutor Matt Weesey. The vote was unanimous in favor of appointing Nick Benson, with Mr. Benson accepting the position. Also, Nick Benson, all through junior hockey, was well known as a brick wall on the ice because of his build. You know, I mean, he was really strong on his legs when players were coming up to him, not the smaller ones, but hockey players of his size. When he stopped to put the brakes on and they hit him, they bounced off, went down on the ice. But anyways, Nick, the gentleman he was, he would help some of them back up on their feet. But you look at him and you see a gentleman over there, he's very smart, and like I say, he was a very hard-hitting hockey player on the ice. So, but anyways, starting November the 1st, you will be officially Marquette County Treasurer. So congratulations. And we know that you do an excellent job. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Before we left for the Sioux, Scott and I met with Benzie, Representative Ken Benzie, for 2 hours on about the state budget, so she's working on it as well.
Can I add to Commissioner DePietro? There will be a reception when Mr. Benson will take the oath at the probate courtroom on October 31st at noon. So the public is all welcome, along with all the commissioners. 31st of October, Halloween.
County Clerk, could you send us a senior moment?
I
Thank you.
I guess, not hearing any other comments here, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Very efficient meeting, Mr. Chair.